In this video, I'm going to give you 4 psychological tricks that'll make people like you instantly. If you use these tips, you'll notice right away that people are nicer to you and they'll have a lot more interest in what you have to say. The first and easiest way to instantly be more attractive is to start using expansive body language. Research has shown that you can shift the way you feel simply by changing your body language. Using expansive body language doesn't just make you seem like you're more confident and energetic, it will actually make you feel more confident and energetic. If making expansive gestures is tricky for you, an easy way to get started is to just remind yourself to keep your elbows away from your torso. Usually, if people are nervous or uncomfortable, they keep their hands firmly at their sides so they don't take too much space. And when they do move their hands, it's small gestures and their elbows still never leave their side. The simple action of lifting your elbows away from your side is an easy mental cue to remind yourself to be more expansive. So the next time someone asks for directions, instead of pointing with just your forearm, use your entire arm to point in the direction they need to go. Another easy way to be more likable is to make jokes that paint the people around you in a positive way. I used to make a lot of jokes at the expense of other people, and what I eventually noticed is that they'd usually laugh it off the first few times, but after a couple jokes, they wouldn't be laughing anymore, and they'd be slightly annoyed whenever I joked about them. By making jokes that frame your friends in a positive way, your friends will laugh, but they'll also start liking you more because of all the compliments you're giving them. Now, of course, it's totally fine to tease your friends every once in a while, but make sure you're sprinkling in these teases in between your compliments so that your teases aren't too overbearing. The next tip will help you when you're out in a large group like a networking event or a bar, and it sounds easy, but it's just to make sure that you're having fun. A big mistake I see all the time is when someone is in a boring conversation, they start looking around for something more interesting. When you're out in public, everyone around you sort of notices you in their peripheral vision, and what it signals to them when you are looking bored and looking away from the person that you're talking to is not just that the person that you're talking to is boring, but that you're boring. Because you're not putting any effort to make the conversation more interesting either. Instead of looking around for something more entertaining around you, be fully in the conversation you're currently having and try to find something interesting about the person you're talking to. Pretty much everyone has something interesting about them. Certain people are just harder to open up. In my experience, the fastest way to find something interesting about someone is to just ask them what they're passionate about. If you look like you're in a fun conversation, people will want to get in on that fun. I discovered this concept on the first day of an internship I had a few years ago. I was eating breakfast with all the other interns and we were all introducing ourselves. And at the time, I didn't think that people who were sitting close to me were that interesting. But I still made an effort to get to know them and had a very fun conversation. After breakfast, a lot of the interns wanted to get to know me better. Because even though they weren't a part of the conversation I had at breakfast, they had overheard bits and pieces and saw that we were having a lot of fun. So remember, whenever you're in public, people are always aware of you and what you're doing. And if you're having fun, they will notice. And some of them will even try to join in on your conversation. This concept also applies to small groups like when you're out to dinner with your friends, where 3 or 4 conversations could be happening at the same time. If you've ever wondered how someone gets an entire group to listen to their story, it isn't by trying to get everyone's attention first and then telling the story. The best way to get everyone's attention is to start off by telling the story to a couple people who are nearby and keeping their attention. As the other conversations at the table start to die off, people will slowly start paying attention to your story until eventually everyone is fully engaged in what you have to say. Now, of course, you're going to need to have an interesting story if you want to keep everyone's attention. And I'm going to make a full video on that next week, so make sure you subscribe if you want to get notified when that video goes up. The final tip I have is to give way more compliments. Everyone loves receiving compliments, but sometimes people don't give them out as much as they could because they don't want to seem like a kiss-up or like they're trying too hard. The easiest way to avoid seeming like a kiss-up is to give compliments to everyone, not just the people who you want to get something from. When you only compliment pretty girls or your bosses at work, your compliments come off as insincere instead of a genuine appreciation. The best way to get good at giving compliments is to lower your filter. Whenever you genuinely appreciate something about someone, just tell them. Do this with everyone, whether it's your friend, the Uber driver, or someone you're walking past on the street. It's not too hard to give a compliment, and a lot of the times, people will be thinking about that small compliment for the rest of the day. So those were 4 tricks to make people like you. If you want to start using these tips, the best way to turn them into habits is to focus on these habits one at a time. Spend the rest of this week focusing on expansive body language, and then the next week giving people compliments. And by the end of the month, you'll see a night and day difference in the way people treat you. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, you'll like the other videos on my channel. I make new videos every week, so please subscribe.